Shawn Bolz, scams, schemes, scoundrels, and prophetic conmen. Yeah, so it's been a little while, about a week and a half since everything came to light about Shawn Bolz, and I wanted to. YouTube is not a big thing for me. Every once in a while, when something grabs my attention, I put out a video. I'm not monetized. This is not my business. What you're about to see is my opinion for what it's worth. But I will caution you in that my video is going to be quite a bit different than the videos that you might have already watched. Most of what I'm seeing right now in terms of social media commentary about Bolz and the Bethel relationship is that Bethel was wrong, the board was wrong, they made a statement, they reframed the statement, and I believe the statement was reframed at least twice. Bolz was a con man, they knew it, and that's about the narrative. But my thinking is a little bit different. And I can't help but think, and so before I go any further, I want you to know that my wife and I, we fell victim to Bolz. In that, no, we didn't send him money, but we did see his videos. And when and as we have been going through a life trial, it just is what it is. We hung on to what he was saying in his prophetic videos. And now, after everything has come to light, we are, of course, questioning whether or not we should have listened to him. And therein lies where what I personally believe to be the problem, but also the solution. One of the things that becomes a real challenge for Christians is when we recognize that the Bible is very clear about not touching God's anointed. It's a very, very delicate thing. And the message for me is laid out very, very clearly in how David and Saul interacted. That time when David took a piece of Saul's clothing, David was very repentant. He was shattered. He was destroyed at what he had done, and he shouldn't have touched God's anointed, because what we recognize as Christians is that God selects certain people, and when God selects certain people, we do not have the cranial capacity to challenge God in his selection, even when these people fall. Because we accept the fact that he knows when they're going to fall before they even fall. Why he does this? The book of Job tells us that we don't challenge God's thinking. I believe we are allowed to, in honesty, ask questions, but we cannot challenge and defy God in his thinking. So the question then is, if we can't challenge the prophet, what then? Well, the Bible does tell us to prove all things. There is a checklist. There is checks and balances as to whether or not we can recognize a prophet as a prophet of God. And it's their fruits. Is their prophecy accurate? Do their prophecies come true? So how then? So now what we're going to do is take a step back and ask ourselves, how do we take the online prophet and put that prophet to the test? Well, it's very difficult because we don't have access to them. I have challenged prophets before. They unfortunately don't like to be challenged, at least the ones that I tried to get in touch with, because sometimes questions are just, maybe they don't want to answer because it's too controversial. Maybe they don't want to answer because maybe they're lying. Maybe they don't want to answer because they don't want to. Simply. But if you can't put a prophet who is saying some really important stuff, potentially about you, if you can't test him, then I would suggest to you that that's when the alarm bells need to go off in your spirit. And I'm talking to myself here. Let's get literal. So let's pretend, for the sake of this video, that I'm a prophet. I am not. But let's pretend I'm a prophet. And my message is, I believe that you're coming out of a desert. God has had you in the desert, in a valley, for a very long time. And oh boy, it's been tough. Yeah, it's been very, very tough. You've been struggling, and you've been fighting the good fight, and you've been loyal to God, and you've been praying. And I see that God is bringing you out. I see that God is bringing you out. And I see that God is preparing a new place for you. Yes, a new job. I see health changes. Now, I don't want to get too sarcastic, so that's the end of my fake prophecy, okay? I don't want to get too sarcastic because I don't want to destroy anything that a real prophet is trying to create online, because I believe in prophets. I believe in the prophetic. But if you were on the receiving end of what I just said, common sense would have told you that I don't know anything about you. And when you look down in the lower left-hand corner of a video, of a social media video, well, I suppose it could be on any corner, but the most popular social media platform, on the lower left-hand corner, you can see how many people viewed the video. Are we really going to say, let's be honest here. Are we really going to say that that video, that message that I just claimed to have was applicable to every single person in that video viewer count? So if a video had 25,000 views, 25,000 people saw that video, God is promoting every single one of them? It's possible, I suppose. But really? Really? I'm talking to myself here. Now, I have seen the odd video of a prophet being a little bit more direct and having a little bit more description in the prophecy. And it might go something like this. I'm seeing a picture. I'm seeing a picture of somebody in a chair right now. They're knitting. They're knitting a sweater. The sweater is red. The sweater is for a grandchild that's in North Dakota? you're wearing a brown dress as you're knitting. I don't have a name, but I believe that God has a message for you. I believe that God is telling you that you've come through your desert. I believe God is bringing you through. You are through your trial. So, end of fake prophecy. But this is something that I have seen online more than once. It's very rare. But this provides a little bit of accountability. But what it also does is it pares away all of the rest of the people who might be viewing that video. And now the video is directed at someone. I place credibility in that. Now, could we say, because I've seen this as well, could we say that a prophet could put out a video and then say, if you are watching this video, then God has guided you to this video? I suppose that's possible too. God guides us. God moves us around. God has control over the algorithms in major social media platforms. God can move you to that particular video. There's a young fellow named Gavin Dees. He does this quite a bit. If you're seeing this video, then God has brought you to it. Well, I'm not going to argue with him. I will ask questions. So what do we do? What do we do? First and foremost, we prove all things. That's biblical. It's biblical. We prove all things. We take everything in prayer to God. So let's in future protect ourselves. And when we see these prophets, or these people that claim to be prophets, that could really be a prophet. When we see them, let's have a little journal beside us and write down what we believe is being directed at us. But then before we accept it and we take that word on for ourselves, we take it to God first. We take it to God first. And we tell God, listen, I am believing that you guided us to this message. Father, will you breathe life into this for me? And then leave it alone. You see, in doing this, then these prophets can say what they like, but it's not going to affect us. We're not going to hang off of what is being said to us. Okay? There's also a very, very important thing that we want to remember. And I don't want to wield this like some kind of a sword, but it is a fact and it is true. And I believe that this is the case with Shawn Bolz, with Robert Morris, with the fellow from IHOP, from all the big names. The book of Timothy talks about leadership. Talks a lot about leadership. It talks about what we say and how we say it. And it very directly states that those who are church leaders are going to be held to a higher standard. And if you are a liar, and if you are claiming to be a mouthpiece for God, and you're not, I don't envy you. Or if you are claiming to be a prophet, and you are not living the life that God is requiring of you, all we have to do is look at Shawn Bolz. God will correct them. When prophets put themselves in a position where they say they are speaking for God, this is serious, serious business. Serious business. And if they are lying, and if they are misleading, and if they are cheating, and if what they are saying, if they are saying God is telling me to tell you this, and God is not telling them to tell you this, then they will be held accountable. Shawn Bolz' life is destroyed. With what he has racked up, if it's all true, statistically, I hope not, but statistically, his marriage is finished. If I remember right, he's got children. So isolate yourself, protect yourself, and take all things to God in prayer. Take the messages to God in prayer. Write them down, and if you find them valuable, write them down, fold them up, put them in your pocket, hold them, hang on to them, because again, it's very important that you understand that I do believe that there are good prophets out there. I have friends that are prophets, and I believe in them. I believe in them. But as I know, they will watch this video. I do take what they say to God. Anyways, I've been talking a lot, too much, and I hope that this message is going to be a blessing for you. I hope that you will be enriched by it, and I hope that you will use what I'm saying to isolate yourself from bad stuff, because it's not over. Shawn Bolz is not going to be the last prophet to be taken down. That I promise you. That's a promise. There is a cleansing of the land that's going on. And we are in a time where I believe very much that God is protecting his church, and he's protecting his people. And this is not a time for games. So be blessed and look out for yourself. God bless.